Hi there. Welcome to our presentation. We're here to talk to you about personality tests and if they're right for employee selection. I'm Avery.
I'm Colby.
I'm Lindsay.
I'm Chris.
I'm Kyle.
Now let's get to it.
Many local and international companies in both the private and public sector now rely on pre-employment tests to measure your fit or match for a position you apply for. Employees do have chances to practice and prepare for these tests. And here I'll show you an example of a practice test online. And there you go. Alright. There are many different personality tests that employers use depending on what field. There is a personality test, which I just showed you, has no right or wrong answer, and test is not timed. There's an aptitude test, is designed to measure your work-related cognitive capacity. These have one correct answer. There's a verbal reasoning test, measures candidates' suitability and potential. They get 30 seconds per question, and it's a true, false, and cannot tell answer. Numerical reasoning test measures your ability to interpret, analyze, and draw logical conclusions based on numerical data presented in graphs and tables. It is a timed test. It gives tables and graphs describing different business-related solutions. There is an abstract reasoning test. It measures your lateral thinking skills. There's a mechanical reasoning test, and this is used more for technical and engineering positions. These are some personality test question examples. They can be statement-based, forced choice, open-ended. I have a quote from a previous employer I worked with this past summer. I came in contact with several personality tests to get the position, and I asked her about what she thought of personality testing for employee selection. And she says, working in higher education, I don't think it's beneficial to test employees' personality types as part of the hiring process, as we don't have prescribed characteristics or traits that are essential to this position. Instead, I would much rather have a candidate be aware of their personality types and be able to explain how these skills strengths will allow them to be successful in the position. This helps me to see their ability to think critically, their self-awareness, and their understanding of the position. And I think those are much more indicative of the candidate's success than their personality type. I think that is much more helpful than taking a test and having me interpret what that means about the candidate. The pros of testing are that you get a written explanation of the candidate's strengths and weaknesses, which may help you to identify what you are seeing in the interview. The cons are that you may then categorize someone's thought process of behavior without getting to know them as a person, which may put them at a disadvantage. I do not think testing should be used in hiring every employee, nor would I want to see the results without having the opportunity to discuss them in person with the employee. And some of the tests that we did were these tests, the Myers-Briggs, True Colors, and Strengths Quest. Myers-Briggs has 16 personality types. True Colors is easier to understand, remember, and apply. And you choose from blue, gold, green, or orange. Then Strengths Quest, it helps people discover their talents. They take an assessment. They get their top 5 talent themes, along with action items for development and suggestions about how you can use your talents to achieve academic, career, and personal success. And these are the ones that we used, which helped us understand what our strengths were. And these are a few of those.
Okay, so I had why are personality tests used? Many companies use personality tests to screen job applicants. Bad hiring decisions have been proven to be a costly mistake. And some employers find it important to test the certain traits that many predict a success. Bad hiring can cost employers in many different ways, directly and indirectly. Using personality tests to screen applicants can determine their likelihood of stealing from a company or likelihood that a applicant is a drug user. And stealing from a company would be an example of a direct, and using drugs would be indirect. Sexual harassment can also be determined through personality tests, or the likelihood of that happening. Personality tests are used to reduce turnover rates for a company by hiring applicants that best fit the job. The cost of replacing a bad hire can be estimated at 1.5 times the original hire. Employers would also like to predict the success of an applicant. Employers can test for certain personality traits that may predict success.
I had personality testing and its histories. A personality test is a questionnaire or standardized instrument made to reveal aspects of an individual's character or physiological makeup. Personality testing dates back to the 18th and 19th century, when personality was assessed through phrenology, the measurement of the human skull, and physiognomy, which assessed personality based on outer appearances. There are many different types of personality tests, but the most common test is self-reported inventory, commonly known as the objective personality test. Personality testing all began with the Woodward's personal data sheet in 1917. It was used to identify if certain soldiers were prone to nervous breakdowns during World War I. In 1921, Hermann Rorschach introduced the Rorschach ink blot test to determine personality based on individuals' perception. As you can see here in a picture, this is an example of a Blanc test, and you're supposed to see what pictures you see in the blot, and it will determine your outcome. Personality testing is frequently used in psychological research to test various theories of personality. Psychodynamic theories like projective methods more than trait theorists who use objective methods. Everyone from our government to retail stores use personality tests to help gauge and evaluate current and future employees for signs of personality traits not for fit for that work environment.
Alright, so I had pros and cons. Some pros for choosing who you want to hire is that it evaluates certain characteristics and shows tendencies that you can use to compare for the potential employee's level of performance. It can also calculate how successful someone will be, and it shows the probability of long-term employment. It gives a basic overview of the attitude and perspective that the possible employee could hold, and it helps understand the conditions that potential hires can work best under. The cons are that it is time consuming. It could be unethical to base your decisions purely on the personality test and nothing more. And certain interviews tend to distort the results of personality tests, and because people come to sell themselves to get the job and don't exactly act true to their personality, and depending on the test and the test giver, the results can be misread or misunderstood, and the personality test requires a lot of training to give, and the jobs that have high turnover rates are not keen on using personality tests.
Alright, now we've got some background information about personality testing. We're going to look at the effectiveness and how useful they really are when we're selecting employees. We've got two main areas we're going to look at. First one is, can the employer successfully determine which personality factors lead to success in the job? And then the second is, do the chosen tests that the employers use to measure personality, do they accurately measure these factors? There was a study that was done by Penn University. They looked into both of those main points there. they found that not all jobs have a specific desired personality, so to speak. For example, in my job as a waiter at a restaurant, there's not a specific type of person that they think is always going to be the best worker. They want some workers that are light and cheerful and can talk to people, and they also would like workers that are quiet and just get work done and get the place cleaned up. They need a mix of both to have a successful workplace, and a personality test is not going to get you an accurate balance. And so this study, it questioned the use of Myers-Briggs and MMPI tests and said that they were not designed for the workplace. When I interviewed Angel Darty, owner of the Outback Steakhouse here in the university area, Charlotte, North Carolina, she seemed to reinforce the claims of the study. I actually had to take a personality test in order to get the job. When I asked Angel about the test, she laughed and says that she barely skims the results of the test because she thinks they're pretty much useless. I thought that was very interesting, hearing that from somebody in the professional world call the tests useless. So when it comes down to making a decision, I found an article in a magazine here, Staffing and Management Magazine. They say that personality tests simply are not worth the cost that it takes to give them out and to interpret the results. They just don't always predict future behavior accurately, and sometimes they lead to lawsuits if people are denied the jobs for reasons that are deemed inadequate. And here's a few of our references. Thank you for